Hello, hello, welcome back. Someone has gifted me a very nice sewing machine. Y'all want to open it together? Let's do it. This machine definitely came to me as a surprise. It was completely unexpected. I shared one of my videos with family members. It was my reintroduction video. You can go back and watch it. But I was telling some family members about it, some people whom we love so much and who are very supportive of our family. But I would share that and was saying that I was getting back into sewing and they wanted to bless me with the new machine. And so they had this one sent to me and I am very grateful. So if you guys are watching, thanks again. So right here, I'm just showing you some of the paperwork and materials that come with the machine. There is an instruction booklet as well as a stitch chart that does attach to the machine. There's also information about warranty and some information about how to redeem a free gift valued at $20. So that's some of the things that come with this sewing machine. All right, so some of the other items included are this bag of accessories. There are plenty of accessories that come with this sewing machine. There's also this extra table that you can attach to the machine for various sewing projects. It has a ruler built into the bottom. And this machine also comes with a cover. You can put that on the machine to keep dust out, keep it clean. So I think that's a very nice to have. And this is a little pin cushion that attaches to the machine. I think I'm really going to enjoy this. I've had many pin cushions. I've even made pin cushions, but I seem to never have one around when I need it. So being able to attach this one to the machine is going to really help me out. All right, and here's the sewing machine. This is a Janome JW8100. Although I like to call it Janome, and you may hear me say that in the video sometimes. It's a Janome brand sewing machine, computerized with with many nice features. It's a very nice, compact machine, not necessarily lightweight. It has good weight to it, not too heavy though. And right here, I'm just trying out the cover, just putting that on top, and then you can carry the machine with the cover on it using the handle. I don't think I show that here, but there's an opening where the handle goes, so you can just carry it to where you need it to be. Okay, well, there's a handle that I was mentioning, and the hand wheel over here. I like that it's black. I like how it contrasts with the rest of the machine. The power button on that side, and just the machine. Still have to take some of the packaging materials out of it. And this little button to release the bobbin door. I think that's a nice feature as well. You just push that to one side and the door pops up, as opposed to just sliding it off. I don't know, over time I may see how I feel about that, but but it's a nice feature. Okay, y'all, so I got this machine plugged up and I am going to turn it on. So I just plug the power cord and the foot pedal into this little socket right here. Just comes out. And let's turn it on. Okay, it may help if my power strip were actually on as well. Hold on. Okay, let's try it again. Ooh. Okay. All right, so it's on, and it is time for me to learn what I'm supposed to do with this machine. All right. Okay, this says before using your sewing machine for the first time, place a scrap of fabric under the presser foot and run the machine without thread for a few minutes. Wipe away any oil which may appear. And this is something that I actually need to do with my other machine is oil it. You have to oil all these metal parts inside of the machine. I've had machines in the past that came with oil. I don't know if this one does. It doesn't look like it. But my brother sewing machine also did not come with oil. But in the past, I had a couple that did come with oil. And so it's very important over time to go through and oil the parts. Like you can take all this stuff off and oil in here as well as up in this area. So I'm gonna have to learn about this one in terms of keeping it oiled, but coming from the manufacturer, apparently they've done that, and so I need to run the machine just to get out any excess oil. So let's do that. All right, so I have a scrap of fabric here that I'm gonna just run without run through the machine without thread. So I'm just going to assume it's the way machines typically are. You put the fabric in, press the foot down, and push the pedal. Oh. Okay. All right, so I did that. Not much oil on here, so that's okay. Let me find my booklet. All right, so we did that using the start stop button. Got that operating for use. Okay. And on this page, it just gives you a rundown of all the different parts. So in this bag right here, there are a lot of different accessories. Looks like there are 4 bobbins in here. I see a zipper foot, some other kind of feet for various forms of sewing. Oh, a seam ripper. Okay. Screwdriver, which really comes in handy. A pin cushion. Can't wait to get to that part. And the extra wide table, etc., etc. Controlling the speed. Okay. All right, let's talk about threading this machine. Now I know how to thread a machine, but this one's pretty fancy. Okay, so this right here is the speed control button. I don't know if you can see it though. Speed control. So let's try that out right quick. I'll just do it with no thread. While I'm holding this camera. Okay, so I have it all the way on this side. Okay, yeah. So it says in here to set it this way for bobbin winding, but let's see what happens if I just do this. All right, my foot is all the way down on the pedal. I mean, I'm pressing it and this thing is barely going, so that's slow. This seems like medium. It's pretty good. And then if you want to wind the bobbin, it says go here. That's the fastest. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll just wind the bobbin and thread the machine and just do some sewing. I'll use this nice golden yellow color here. And let's get one of our new bobbins. And oh, that's not right. So we take this part off and slide this on, then put this back, and that'll hold the thread in place. Now, to be honest, I haven't had many machines that, I don't think I've ever had a machine where the thread was in the horizontal position, so that'll be new for me. I'm going to put this around here. All right, so, and something I just realized is that there's actually an empty bobbin already in here, but I got one of these, so that's fine. And we're gonna utilize the hole on the bobbin, which I don't always do, but we'll do it today. Here's a little hole, and I don't know, I'll go at it from the inside. Sometimes I do it the other way when I use this method. So we got that in the hole. Just pull it up. I'll just snap it in place here. And it's just like my other machine. We just put it on and push it over to lock it into place, and it lets us know that it's locked. When I locked it, this came onto the screen. Unlocked, locked. Okay, so some of those computerized features. Okay, let's see if this thing is gonna wind on here. Oh, there it goes. And I have this over all the way to the fastest speed. I probably shouldn't have filled this as much as I did because I don't know how much gold stuff I'm going to be sewing, or yellow. But it's okay. We'll just use this to sew, to practice with. But I'm just going to stop it right there and then unlock it. And then I can clip off this thread that was coming out of the top as soon as I can get it untangled. I don't know if I was recording, but it was locked and I just unlocked it. And then once I get this untangled, I'll clip off this thread that was coming out of the top hole and proceed to the next step. This got pretty tangled. Let's see if I can find the end. There we go. So I'm gonna clip this one. Let me just see if I have yep, my knife is on the side down here. And I'll cut that. And now it's time to insert the bobbin. Get you guys closer so you can see. All right, so let's open up our little fancy bobbin door here. I just slide this button over and it pops up. That's nice. And I'll take this one out, which was already in there and I didn't realize it, even though I did look in there initially. Okay, let me clip that. So from what I read in the booklet, this is pretty much like the other machine. So the thread needs to be coming off the bobbin in this way. It needs to be coming off of the bobbin in a counterclockwise direction. I still want to clip this some more. And so I'm going to go ahead and drop it in and get it through this little metal notch. See if we hear click like I showed you on the other video with the brother machine. Oh, yep, same way. All right, let's put the door back on. Is there a knife on here to cut the thread? Okay, it's okay. We'll leave it like that. Now I'm going to thread the machine. All right, so I'm just going to go around following the guide. I went around back here, very much like the other machine down here. So it gives you directions, or like numbered steps. Up here was 1, so I took it around here, and then here's 2, which means I need to go down, then up 3, and around 4, and through this mechanism, through this metal mechanism right here. It just goes through there. You just pull it back and then forward and it will go through, and then down, and I'll put it, looks like on this machine it needs to go back here, and then thread the needle. On the brother machine, the thread goes behind this on this way, but on this machine it's on the left side. Okay, so I have to get used to that. That's okay. And then I'm gonna thread the machine, or thread the needle. And there we go. Now this, I'm sure this has some kind of self-threading option. I forgot about that. See, I'm just doing things my regular way and not taking advantage of the features. But it's threaded, so let's see. Hold on. All right, this machine does have a needle threader. That is definitely going to be a new feature for me. I am so used to just threading the needle. That's probably what I'm going to be doing every single time. But maybe at some point I'll do a demonstration of how to use the needle threader. And that time is now. I couldn't quite figure out the needle threader, but I knew somebody who could, and that is my 10-year-old daughter. So right here, she's doing the demonstration. You basically pull the threader down. Well, before you do that, you raise the needle to its highest point, put the press of foot down, and then follow the instructions in the manual. Essentially, what's happening is that there's a hook that once you lower the threader, there's a hook that goes inside of the eye, and you follow the steps of putting the thread around those various parts, and it will draw. Once you raise the threader back up, it draws the thread through the eye on that hook. So she was able to do that and show me how it's done. But she and I both concluded that we'll probably just be threading the needle as we normally do without using that. But it's a nice mechanism for those who may have sight problems. I don't have the best eyesight myself, so it's good for people who just need assistance threading the needle. Um, so yeah, it's a very nice feature. Got it in here, and then I'm going to pick up my bobbin thread by turning the wheel and getting it out with my finger and pushing it to the back. So I think we're ready to sew something, so let's do it. All right, before we sew something, I guess it makes sense to talk a little bit more about this LCD display right here and what all these numbers mean. So just going through the manual, I can see that, so they have it numbered in the book. So 1 up here, it says this is the identification letter of the recommended foot. So I'm just doing standard sewing, and I'm just using just a standard foot as opposed to like a buttonhole foot or a zipper foot, things like that. So I want this to be on, so this is correct. Okay. Stitch pattern, where these 2 zeros are, I'm just using a basic straight stitch. But if you remember this little stitch guide right here, I have to figure out where this is supposed to go. I mean, it's hard, like it belongs on here somewhere. And we did figure that out as well. So I'll insert this clip here. This stitch chart comes with a holder, which is connected to a pin. And there's a hole like right in the back of the machine that you just stick the pin in, and then you can insert the chart into that, and it goes down and back up so you can see the stitches. So another cool feature of this machine. But I'm just doing 1, which is a standard stitch, or actually 0, I'm sorry, 0, 0 is the first one. But right now I'm going to try out at least 1 through 3, maybe 4, to see what these are about. So let's test that out, and then we'll come back to this. All right, so keeping this on 00, well, double 0. Let's just do that first. A regular straight stitch. Okay. Oh man, I don't know if this, I'm not sure if this yellow thread shows up that well, but you can see the stitch right there, just a regular stitch. So now let's push this, and I believe that indicates that I want to change the number to 2, or to 1. So I'm going to hit this. Nope, that took me to 10. Oh, let's just do that. Yeah, 1. So both lines under it will put me where I need to be. And let me check and see what 1 is supposed to look like. I'm not really sure what that means, so let's see. Oh, is that supposed to be a back stitch? Wait. Very interesting. I'm gonna have to look more into that, because it definitely did a back stitch at the beginning. But now I'm curious about this right here. So let's push this and see if this is the backstitch button. All right, so I'm gonna sew and push this because I think this is the backstitch. So let's try it out. I want to go back to 00 up here on the stitch selector. No. Okay, that took me back to 00. And let me try. That did not do backstitch. So let me just see in the booklet what that means. Yeah, it definitely says reverse button, but it did not reverse. So, let me see. Oh, I have to hold it, I think. Yeah, that's the key. All right, so it did a backstitch, and I'm thinking because this is a computerized machine, I just have to push it and let it go. But no, you still have to hold the button down to do reverse stitching. Okay, so let's go back to our stitch guide here. So we tried 1 and 2, or 0 and 1. And as I said, I don't, it seems like 1 was a backstitch also, so I'm not sure. Let's try 2. So if I don't push this, then I can just increase or decrease. So I'm going to go to 2 here, and then let's see what it does. I don't really get it, and this isn't showing you that clearly. I need a different color fabric, I think, but it did the same thing as 1. It just did a back stitch in the beginning. So I'm gonna have to learn about these stitches. Let's see, 3. That seems like a stitch if you want to do gathering, so like a longer stitch, maybe. And let's go ahead and skip to zigzag, because that's one that will be used probably more often than any of these others, unless I'm doing something really decorative. So I'm going to go to 6. Yeah, and that's zigzag. Now this is pretty cool because I'm realizing it's automatically doing a back stitch at the beginning of every time I sew. So I'm gonna go back to 1 and see if it did it. I'm sorry, 0. I keep saying 1, but I mean 0. Let's keep it on 00 and let's see if it does that back stitch, because I don't remember it doing that. Yeah, it's not doing it for that one, but it does it for the other ones. Yeah, so I don't know how to play around with that, but in the meantime, I know that if I want to do reverse stitch, which is definitely recommended at the beginning of sewing, or depending on what you're doing, to hold this button down, okay? Okay, I realized I didn't talk much about these other components or numbers on the LCD display. This first one here is the stitch width, and the second one is the length. So the stitch width will really only be relevant if you're sewing some sort of zigzag where the needle needs to go side to side. And then the length is the distance between the stitches. And the way that I change these numbers is by first pushing this button and to get the cursor under the one that I want to change. And then I'll press the plus or minus button here. And the highest that the width will go is to 7. Okay, let me take it back down to 3.5, which is what it was set at. And we'll move over to the length, and the highest that it will go is 5. So that is how you control the stitch width and length when you're sewing. Also, for certain stitches, it will automatically choose the width or length that you need. So if I go here and I just go backwards, you see it automatically changed this to 2, and that went to 5, from 3.5 to 5, and from 2.4 to 2. Let's say I want to do stitch number 99, which is this cute little flower. If I just push the minus, it's going to go backwards. The numbers will go backwards here. So, and you see that automatically went to 7. And this changed to 2.5 from 2.4. So, depending on the stitch, it will select the width and length for you. So, it's still on those same 2 numbers, but it will change for some of the designs. 0.4, 2.5. And this noise you hear to the left is just the needle adjusting to whatever the width or length has been changed to. So as I push the buttons over here, you can see the needle adjusting to accommodate. Okay, so just wanted to show you that. Also, if I turn the machine off and back on, it will reset the numbers. And there we are, back to the original settings. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and sew something really quickly. So I just have 2 pieces of fabric here, rectangular shape. I don't know, 1, 2, 3, I don't know, maybe 7 inches by 4 inches. I'm just guessing. And I'm gonna make something. I still had my stitch set to wind up the bobbin, so it was going pretty fast. So I just put it back to medium, and I'll keep going. Now, even though I'm using this turquoise fabric, I still went ahead and used the yellow thread that I initially put in the machine because I know I'll be turning this right side out and you won't really see the yellow. However, for this project that I'm making, I am leaving this gap open and I'll have to turn this right side out. And I am going to sew this closed with the machine. So I will see a little bit of stitching, about 1.5 inches or so, right on this gap when I turn it the right way out, but it's okay. So now I'm just gonna trim the corners or clip the corners and trim the seam allowances. So now I'm just gonna turn this right side out and press it flat. I am expecting the editing of this video to go much faster now because I am talking directly in the video instead of having to do a voiceover. I find that that takes me a while to get around to posting a video when I have to do the voiceover. And many times I do that because I have my children here and we're keeping up a lot of noise. So I just record the video and then do a voiceover, and that seems to work better. But it's pretty quiet in the house today, so we can just talk on the video. All right, so I'm gonna press this down, and I can also take my scissors and go and poke the corners out, like I was showing you in the previous video about sewing the pillow. Something you always want to do when you're sewing anything with corners. Trim it down and then poke it out. Just being mindful not to poke too hard and get a hole in your fabric. All right, I'm gonna iron this. All right, now this part that I left open so I could turn it the right way out, it's just a little gap right here. I'm gonna just sew that closed, do a top stitch and sew it closed, even though the thread will be contrasting. It's okay. You know, if I wanted to, I could sew all the way around and just make a decorative yellow stitching, but I'll just go ahead and sew the gap closed, and that's it. Here is the rectangle, and basically I am just going to scrunch this together, or do like an accordion fold here, like front, back, front, back, and you can kind of see what I'm making, a bow. And this can be a bow tie or a hair bow. I'll just make this for my girls. One of them can wear it. My little one really likes to wear hair bows, as well as my middle daughter. So, and now the way that I do hair bows, I don't have like the clips that you can glue to the back and all that. I typically just tie a string around it and then tie it onto their hair, or make a little band to sew around and then use a clip like a hairpin to stick through that band and sew it on. Today I think I'll do the band, even though I really wouldn't want the yellow thread showing. I'm gonna go ahead and just do that. And I just thought of another quick thing you could do is just put a rubber band around this and call it a day, and then use a hair clip or something to pin it to your child's hair. That's another option, but let's see what I'm gonna do. All right, so I have this little piece of fabric, and typically what I would do with something so small is just fold the edges down, or fold the edges to the inside and then make like a little sandwich, like close this up and then sew along the edge. But because I have this yellow thread that I kind of don't want to show on this part, I'm just gonna do some helicopters outside. Okay, I hope you can hear me. I am going to fold the edges in like this, and I'm not going to do any sewing on this. I'm just going to conceal the edges so they don't fray and unravel, and then I'll sew this around my hair bow, or around the bow, and then attach it in the back. Let me show you what I mean. And actually, I'm going to iron this right quick to make it easier to hold on to. Okay, so this is nice and flat, and I've ironed the edges to the inside. So these edges that are raw, meaning they're not finished, they haven't been sewn down or anything, they'll fray. So I basically just want to put those on the inside and to conceal them. So here's my piece, and then I'll take my bow and refold it into the accordion fold. So just back and forth, and you can just scrunch it together, but I'll do something like this, accordion, and see how it looks. Yeah. Okay, and so here's my little bow. And then I'll take this piece and put it around it. And then I'm just gonna sew this together back here and to keep it tight on the bow. And that way I won't see any yellow at all up here or around my edges. It just looks like a matching bow with no contrasting thread. Although, you know, I have this yellow down here where I sewed it. You can actually tuck that under. There's a way to conceal that as well. So yeah, you can find a way to conceal the sewn edge if you have a contrasting thread like that. Or it may not matter. It really doesn't matter that much to me, but I'll go ahead and do it for the sake of showing you guys. Just conceal the edge by folding it under a few times. This camera is not, yeah. And then I'll go ahead and wrap my piece around it again. Like that. And I'm just gonna sew this on here. And I'm being careful to not sew into the bow itself. I'm really just trying to sew the little band together back here. So I'll move my bow out of the way as much as possible. Put my presser foot down, put my needle down, and do a back stitch and stitch it closed. Okay, so this is what I have. And this isn't extremely tight, and that's okay. It'll stay together. This is how it looks. And then I'm gonna do some trimming. So I'll cut the excess off of the back, right below the stitch line. And then clip these threads. And so this part will be in the back, and it's a cute little bow. Using contrasting thread and sewing it in a way to where you can't even see the thread. Okay. All right, so I just wanted to give you guys a little tour of the new sewing machine. I'll be using this in my videos, but I probably will still be using this for the machine as well, because everybody doesn't have a computerized machine. I just want to represent all machines, all machine types in the videos. And yeah, I think this one's going to probably be off limits for my girls. So we'll see. I'll probably let them use it though. All right. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions about the machine, please let me know. I didn't go over a lot of it, and there's so much more to talk about. So if you have any questions about it, let me know, and I can help. Oh, I forgot. Okay, so this little pin cushion, I think this will come in handy for me because I usually end up putting my pins on the table or under the machine, under the area where the needle is, off to the right side. So I think this will be very convenient to use for pins. It's very easy to install. Just pop it in that little hole. And that's the same hole that's used for the extra spool pin. So if I'm using more than one spool of thread or doing other things that require an additional spool pin, also like winding the bobbin can happen with the additional spool pin as well. I don't think I've mentioned that in my other video on machine parts. So that'll come in handy. This little door here pops off, and you can store accessories in there. The buttonhole foot was already in there, just realizing that, so that comes in handy as well. Wanted to show that part.
Wait, is that a screen?
Yeah, it's a computerized machine.
Wait, how do you turn this on?
Well, it's not. And while I am at it, I'll show you this table that can attach to the sewing machine for if you're sewing bigger projects. Maybe you're doing some quilting or just sewing some project that requires a lot of fabric. This additional table will come in handy. It'll just hold your fabric up. Now, I don't have the proper sewing table. As I mentioned a few videos back, I'm just using what I already had. And I don't have a solid wood table like I've had before. So this is actually a plastic folding table, which isn't the best for sewing. It's not that, it's not very strong or stable. My machine vibrates when I sew on it. And as you can see here, it's not level enough for the table to attach properly. It's not even when I put it on this table. So I am going to be getting a different table to use for sewing. But for now, I'm going to just put it down on the floor and show you how it's supposed to look. All right, so I placed it on the floor, and you can see when you have a level area, the table will attach properly and be even with the machine. All right, and this was later that day. So much for keeping the kids away from this machine, because of course they needed to try out the machine and some of the features and the stitching. And this is really good because I kind of see myself as the poster child for analog girl in a digital world, and my children are not. They want to try all the features and do everything. And so this will prompt me to get more into that as well, just having them be interested in it. So here they're just trying some of the stitches. Okay, so basically you release it by pushing it.
Dang, I said spring break.
Okay, so she's changing the foot that's being used, because for some of these stitches you have to change, you have to use a different foot, and there are a few different feet in the accessories bag. And so you can look in the manual and determine which one you need to use to do a stitch. So some of the fancier stitches require a different foot, so we're just changing it right here.
Does that feel good?
There you go.
Oh.
Okay, so hold on one second. You're gonna do 99. Okay, let me see what 99 is supposed to look like, Chad.
It's a flower.
I don't know if it's the fabric.
It's not as good as on the picture, but still. One time, the needle, my fabric was stuck inside there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it happens sometimes. Now, this is my youngest child having a try at the sewing machine, but this isn't her first time. I think the day before this, she was sewing with her sisters, and you heard her say her fabric got stuck inside of the machine, and that was like foretelling of what was about to happen, because that's exactly what happened this time. So right here, I'm showing you how you can take the silver plate off of the machine if you have a problem like that. If your fabric gets stuck down under there, and sometimes that will happen just depending on the fabric or what's happening with the stitching. She was trying to do a pretty fancy stitch and it just wasn't working out. With the fabric being thin, she didn't have it doubled over, so it was like one layer and it got stuck down in there. And I guess this happened with her sister when I wasn't in the room, but maybe they were able to pull it out. I couldn't pull it out, so I had to take out the screwdriver that comes with the machine as part of the accessories, and take out the two screws that are holding the plate in, and then pull the plate off and get the fabric out of there. So I'm just showing that process right now. As you operate a sewing machine more and more, you'll realize that you also have to become a sewing machine technician and know the steps to take to repair the machine or to resolve problems if that comes up. And it comes up, you know, every now and then. Right here, I'm showing you the brush. You can use that to brush out any lint that gets stuck down in there. Although this machine is brand new, so there's not much lint at this point. But that's what the brush is for. But yeah, you'll become aware of various issues and how to resolve them over time. You'll become aware of sounds and what they mean. The machine's not sewing properly. Like I was sitting in a different room and I heard one of my children sewing, and I knew by the sound of the machine that the needle was not threaded. And so I hollered in there, I'm like, is that machine threaded? And they realized, no, they're just sewing and there's no thread in the machine. So I could just tell that by the sound of it. So that's the kind of things you learn when you start to use a sewing machine on a regular basis or just over time. So right here, I just put the plate back on and I'm screwing it back in. And then I will proceed to put the bobbin back in and make sure it's sewing properly. Okay, now we did sewing. Now I need to go in here and do my hair. Right here, I am checking to see whether or not this part of the machine has a little knife to cut the bobbin thread, and it doesn't appear to, like on my other machine. So right here, I have another spool of thread and I'm just putting it through something that appears to be a knife to me, but it's not. So I guess this machine doesn't come with a cutter for the bobbin thread. Well, I think that's it for this video. I've covered a lot, but if you have any questions regarding anything about this machine, please feel free to let me know, and I'll be happy to help you out or answer your questions. Thanks so much for watching.